Anaximander and Anaximenes. Anaximander of Miletus, a student and follower of Thales, was an important philosopher who lived from 610 to 546 BC. Anaximander, the second important member of the Milesian school, made history with his work titled On Nature. This work makes him the first Greek philosopher to write about nature. We know Anaximander mostly from the fragments of this work and the accounts of Theophrastus, who most likely read this book. Again, the same sources tell us about his views on the universe, the origin of the universe and its initial form, celestial bodies, natural phenomena, astronomy, meteorology, biology and geography, and his interest in these subjects. It is said that he made the first sundial and the first star map and tried to draw the first world map, which has not survived to this day, which is an indication of his abilities. Anaximander developed ideas about the origin of humans by observing how trees branch and bud and how their bark peels off. According to him, while all living beings except humans could take care of themselves as soon as they were born, humans were dependent on care for a long time. Anaximander believed that the first humans spent their childhood in a thorny tree bark, resembling a fish in the water. When they reached adolescence, they would shed their shells, step onto dry land, and transition to an environment where they could take care of themselves. Anaximander's understanding of the universe was much more detailed and different from Thales. First of all, Anaximander did not think that there was anything supporting the world, and so, unlike Thales, he did not question what the world stood on. According to him, the world was at a point equidistant from everything. Also, according to Anaximander, it was not right to limit the basis of the universe to an element we see in the world, such as water or fire. The source of existence had to be unlimited and indefinable. That is why Anaximander called this principle at the foundation of the universe apeiron. Apeiron was an indefinable principle, the beginning of everything, unborn, ageless, indestructible and immortal. It is estimated that Anaximander thought of this principle as spatially infinite, but it's not known whether it had a beginning or an end in time. This principle, as Aristotle would later state, could be a material cause that constitutes the universe. According to Anaximander, the universe is a battlefield of opposites, such as hot, cold, dry, wet. These opposites are in constant conflict, and this struggle continues until one perishes and transforms into the other. For example, the transformation of day into night, winter into summer. In Anaximander's poetic expression, these opposites are punished for their injustice in the arbitration of time and pay the price for the harm they inflict on each other. Hot and cold were the first opposites to emerge and were born from a cosmic egg and an infinite substance. Then came fire and earth, forming the basis of the universe. In other words, according to Anaximander, the universe was formed from the unity of opposites. Anaximenes, a student and follower of Anaximander, lived between approximately 585 and 525 BC and is the third important philosopher of the Milesian school. Like Anaximander, Anaximenes believed that the arch was single, infinite and boundless. But unlike Anaximander, he argued that this principle was not indefinite but definite, thus coming closer to Thales. Similar to Thales' saying that the arch was water, Anaximenes believed that the arch was a material thing. According to Anaximenes, this material thing is air. According to him, air is what the world stands on, and in this view, he is similar to Thales. Air, in its initial state, is invisible, but when it begins to move and condense, it becomes visible. First, it becomes wind or vapor, then cloud, then water, and finally earth or mud and stone. The purest form of air is fire. Everything is formed by the condensation and rarefaction of air. Pucker your lips, then open your mouth and blow on your palm. You will feel first hot, then cold air, he says. According to him, air has all the characteristics of divinity, that is, the life force because it lives forever, and it is the cause of everything. In short, according to Anaximenes, air is a divine power and gives birth to everything from within itself, including the gods. Again, according to Anaximenes, our soul is also made of air and keeps our body together, just like the air surrounds the whole world. Anaximenes equated the air that fills the human body with the human soul, psyche, and was the first to bring up the concept of the soul. He was also the first to make the distinction between living and non-living, stating that all living things in nature have a soul. Anaximenes' other thoughts on nature and the universe can be summarized as follows. Celestial bodies, such as the Earth and the Sun, are like trays and stand on air. The stars revolve around the Earth. The moon gets its light from the sun. The cause of earthquakes is the Earth. Thales, Anaximander and Anaximenes, the first three thinkers of Greek philosophy, are also called hylozoists, because they all believed that a living substance was the basis of the universe. However, the limited information remaining from these thinkers prevents us from fully understanding their thoughts. Although these philosophers were not scientists in the true sense, they were not mythologists either. Perhaps they did not completely leave mythology behind, but they were determined to move away from it and set sail for new ideas. That is why these thinkers were not considered philosophers in the full sense of the word, and even the word philosophy, philosophia, did not yet exist at that time. These thinkers were merely the owners of ideas that heralded the birth of science. They were also observers, but in their observations the elements of philosophy, science and religion were not yet completely separated from each other. The sun, freed from the mythological peaks of Mount Olympus, was reborn in Miletus, an ancient port city in Anatolia. This birth shone even brighter with a brand new question: what is arkhe? Thales was the first to ask this question and answer water. Other philosophers followed suit, giving different answers to the same question. These thinkers were the first to try to understand nature with the limited means at their disposal, leaving behind the tradition fed by the mythological stories of Homer and Hesiod. From a deeper perspective, Thales and other Milesian thinkers were the first to rebel against the gods of mythology and the social traditions shaped by mythology. They were aware of their individuality, and although they knew they were mortal, they aimed to think forever and push the boundaries of their imagination. They were people who wanted to understand nature, not with the stories told to them, but with reason and passion. People who took great pleasure in pursuing knowledge and loving it. This is how philosophy slowly began. So when Thales and other natural philosophers entered the philosophical scene, had Homer and Hesiod, that is, mythological thought, completely disappeared? Absolutely not. But now a Homeric story had become a tool used by many philosophers to emphasize the importance of philosophy and philosophical education. For example, Aristippus likened those who received education in every field but neglected philosophy to the suitors of Odysseus's faithful wife Penelope. Because, according to him, these people had obtained the servants but not yet Penelope, the lady of the house.